Are they? Free Phantom Lord. That's amazing.
They got trains, so they might gonna have Zarya and then Hanzo.
5,
So be careful.
4, 3, 2, 1. Within me. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload. See through the dragon.
They got Genji though.
So you've got an Orisa Roadhog. They've got a Reinhardt. So using your Stormbow to break Reinhardt's shield is going to be giving you a big advantage since you have a renewable barrier and they don't.
Yeah, they got Hanzo. And they got Zarya. Rain one.
Right now. Yeah, we should drop down. I'm not thinking too much in Hagman.
Zarya kan?
Genji.
Dead.
Nice shot.
Hanzo high ground.
So far you're spending a lot of time burning squishies and whatnot. But one of the things that you really want to do is prevent the Reinhardt, who wants to be in a close quarters fight with the Orisa, from allowing to go shield to shield with your Orisa. Your Orisa wants space between herself and the Reinhardt, and if the Reinhardt does close the distance, she wants that Reinhardt shield dead, preferably before or as the Reinhardt arrives, so that the rest of the team can take her out. And you're putting a lot of like valuable resources that aren't finding anything. So you have, for example, a 10%. Apparently we're transparency now. So we have a 10% chance of finding a kill onto a squishy or something like that, but we have a 100% chance of winning the actual shield war. So this will win a fight if it happens. Fantastic. This will also win a fight if it happens, right? So this action might not be as flashy, but it's going to be way more consistent that their Reinhardt simply doesn't have a shield and can't actually contest your tank line. And if you just do that 100% of the time, because you can't fucking miss Mr. Rectangle Man's shield, if you've got a Mercy as well, which you do because your Orisa got rezzed, you can just do little things like, hey, Mercy, damage boost me. You get Blue Beam, you Storm Arrow, you say thanks, then you ask for it next time. But if you're playing Ryan Orisa, try and manipulate this tank fight as much as possible. Yes, if you smack somebody in the head with an arrow, you're going to win the fight. But if their tanks are just completely and utterly useless against your tanks, you're also going to win the fight. So go for the path of least resistance to win the team fight.
Zen one behind.
Genji is coming back.
Genji right side alone.
You are a proud DPS player who wishes to exert their dominance over the DPS players of the red team. And I can respect that. There is zero chance you were aiming for that Hanzo and not the Zarya.
Genji right side alone.
Also, where did that Genji actually end up?
Genji right side alone.
Oh, he swift strikes back to his team. I missed it too.
Yeah, I'm blind. What the fuck?
Okay. Yes, totally aiming for that Hanzo.
Hanzo. It wasn't meant for Hanzo, but. Where's that? I got track. This is winnable. Nice fix.
Again.
So yeah, you seem to be winning these matchups.
I'm gonna hammer right.
That's fine here, but
Hanzo's flanking.
if you don't win those matchups, if those matchups become a draw, for example, then the Zarya Ryan on the enemy team has the advantage. Your Orisa is going to be constantly forced to kite back and back and back because the resources are just not being put into Reinhardt's shield to prevent him from just going up to Orisa's shield, walking through it, and then just hammering Orisa with the giant piece of German engineering.
Be careful.
Even if you just put one damage boosted Storm Arrow into Reinhardt's shield at the start of every fight, it will greatly assist your Orisa. Mayhem Academy versus GGAA should be GGEA. Fusion University versus Gladiators Legion should be Gladiators Legion. LNL versus Psychon Win should be LNL.
Be right back.
Blocked by the dragon.
I think fine, but I'm gonna look.
So good Storm Arrow into the shield.
Nice fix, bro.
Nice little dragon used to split so that our tanks are now cut off. So here you cut their tanks off from the supports, but then you go for the DPS who's being pocketed by the support. So, like, you cut the tanks off from the support so they can't be healed, but then you go after the guys who can be healed. Like, yes, he's antied, but he's not going to be for long.
I'm going in.
So your target priority also just kind of sucks.
Okay, no mind.
Currently 2-0 for Mayhem Academy. That's awesome. Maybe they actually picked it up.
Hanzo is
I thought Mayhem Academy was still having weird issues. Because they just released somebody like 2 days ago, didn't they?
dead, so I don't think they can come. Hanzo is dead, so I don't think they can come. Dude, I'm so bad. They can come. Dude, I'm so bad at this game.
Got her!
Wake up.
What a waste of an ult.
Yeah, the base is grab, so... I mean, they're gonna have another one.
The dragon awakens.
Hanzo one, Hanzo is one. Get out of the
I
way.
got him. Fuck. I got healed.
Fine.
May as well Storm Arrow with shield.
Running away. Hanzo one.
Little calls like that, since you are in Masters, I'm going to point it out, right?
Hanzo one.
Hanzo 1. Who exactly on your team is going to follow up on that call? Right? Calls imply action. You didn't call out a location or anything like that. So that call's just kind of like... These are one of those kind of like... You can call them almost big dick calls. And that you're like... Basically, the only thing you're letting your team know is that I almost killed him. It's basically like the fish that got away. You come home, you kick open the door, you swagger into the kitchen, you go, honey, I'm home. I almost caught a fish this big. Did you actually catch him? No, but I almost did. Congrats, honey. Like, there's not a lot that your team can actually do to follow up on killing the Hanzo. You didn't even let the Hanzo know. You didn't even let the team know where the Hanzo is or anything like that. So that information is completely and utterly irrelevant, other than letting your team know that your dick is bigger than the opposing Hanzo's dick. So, also known, shut up.
Brian Pack.
Zero one.
Did you behind?
Behind. Actually not. Genji's behind. Genji dead.
Mercy Pack.
Nice.
Mercy Pack.
I don't really like that dragon.
She's one.
They got me. In the sky.
60 seconds.
What the fuck?
I'm missing so many easy shots, I don't know why.
The payload has reached.
Also known as I
Hanzo
fed
is
the enemy
on the
support, so
rocket.
Hanzo's worth the full charge.
Not good.
That's funny.
Defeat is the first step to
Stop.
dragon stirs within
Hanzo's so
Hanzo high ground.
Yes.
I do like this. This is the one time where kind of like fighting for dick size is good, because that high ground is in contention and you're really the only person who can actually do that. Like, your tanks are playing Orisa and Roadhog, which sucks, honestly, for Dorado second, because this high ground is so important. So it is your job to kind of try and control this high ground as much as you can. It's unfortunate that the opposing Hanzo is already in that high ground, which is a good play on his part, because it's always better to, or it's always easier to claim unclaimed space than it is to try and take space from an opponent. So he's got the advantage here because he's already in the space that you want, and you need to win the duel in order to actually take it from him.
I don't
That's
think
fine.
they got the hint.
Looks like your Sombra did it for you, though.
Pretty low.
And you do have the high ground here, so there's no real reason that you need to be this far back either, right? So you're located in this area here, but your Sombra forced the Hanzo back onto the low ground. So what's actually stopping you from being over here and setting up a crossfire onto the Reinhardt's back? And the Zenyatta is going to have to aim even more vertically at you, which makes his shots harder to hit compared to where you are. The Hanzo, same thing. He can try and duel you, but then you have the advantage where he previously had the advantage because he's going to be trying to encroach onto your space, which you've now claimed after the Sombra forced him to part. So you don't actually need to be here. Yes, it's kind of like the battle lines are drawn in this area, but there's nothing stopping you from going past those lines and claiming space above and behind them to open up the threat. And this is going to be very necessary if you want to get the most value out of this high ground, especially when your tanks are confined to the low ground.
I'm stuck.
Big pick.
Mercy hacked.
Hate to see it. Oh, did you do it again? Fucking
There was
Hanzo.
make it die. Nice, nice. Genji low. He's literally one.
Hanzo's such a fucking stupid
get him.
character.
My dragon strike is ready.
Hanzo, stop.
Where?
Stop. Same place.
Yes.
Thank you.
You don't know me? My bad. I could have
Hold
actually.
on.
Yeah, Risa, can you call your hordes? So I can hold.
Oh,
what?
I don't like that dragon either. It doesn't really
Just tell
split
me when
them.
you're gonna hold.
So if you're going to be using your dragon, you can... First of all, you should be asking for damage boost. Whether or not you have a grav to fire it into, regardless... The other thing, like, there's a whole bunch of things you can do that. You can, like, sonic walls, and if you see somebody behind them, you can point-blank dragon them. I don't mean point-blank, but you can surprise them by having the dragon show up in an area where they're not scouted. You can split teams. You can fire it at halts. Like, if the Orisa goes for a halt, and you know that the halt's going to connect to, like, 3 people or something like that, fire the fucking dragon right at the halt. It'll keep people inside of the dragon long enough for the damage boost dragon to kill them. But the only value a dragon is going to get on its own is by splitting a team and then taking advantage of that split. If not, you should be asking for damage boost with your dragon. You should be asking for damage boost with your storm arrow. Both of those receive a shit ton of value from damage boost. And communicate with your Mercy when you're going to be using them so that she knows when to damage boost you. She's not psychic. She's not psychic. Oh, I can't damage boost anymore. Fuck you, Patch. Fuck you, Patch.
Ryan hacked.
Is that hot?
My tips are like 6 hours old. No.
Right.
Storm arrow, then yes.
First, you're gonna go behind.
Genji behind.
First, you're behind as well.
Spider.
And one dead. Oh, Ringo thread. Shit. My bad. There's Hanzo on the mecha. Maybe he was. Yeah, go back.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Group up here. Defeat is the first step to a better.
After Jade gave me that tip, I instantly became bronze. Yep.
Hanzo, stop.
Plat reviewer. What can I say?
Fuck, Mercy from.
Genji. You're on the way.
Mercy 1 HP. 1
Hanzo one. Hanzo.
Hanzo 1.
At least call
Yeah, just-
locations. So if it's things like a Hanzo, there's a couple times where you've called Hanzo 1. At least call where, so that your team knows, you know, if that target is still a threat or if they can finish them off. So Hanzo 1, but not everybody was just staring at the Hanzo and knows exactly where he is. So Hanzo 1, box. Hanzo 1, left, right, behind, main, blah, 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 blah. And if you are going things against like a Zarya, for example, you go Zarya 1, no personal. So no personal shield, no personal bubble, whatever you want to call it. So you're calling out like 1 or low quite well, but you're not calling out any other information that would be useful, which is their location and the status of their cooldowns.
Team P in 5 seconds.
Yeah, best thing is when people just start screaming, he's low, he's low. Who? Where? What are their cooldowns? Like, thanks.
Done that.
If you're a Zenyatta, that is like lesson number 1 about why you don't quick strafe. That kind of strafing is fine against like a Widowmaker or McCree or something like that. It's even a little bit fast for like a McCree. But you can see this Zenyatta is actually AD strafing too quickly, and his hitbox actually isn't really changing location. So this Hanzo just aims for the center of his strafe pattern and hits him. So if you're a Zenyatta, take notes. Unpredictable, longer strafes are better for dodging Hanzo shots.
Done that.
Your storm
Why am I so
arrow
bad?
decreases your accuracy
What's
by
this?
like
Rain low,
90%.
rain low.
Engine.
Rain low.
Just because it gives you the ability to spam doesn't mean you
Yeah,
shouldn't
That's
aim
fine.
each and every single
Fine.
arrow.
We can just-
Sniper, by the way.
Genji hacked.
He's one.
My ultimate
Coming back.
is ready.
Have no hero.
See through. My dragon strike is ready.
Oh shit.
The dragon awakens.
So like there, I would have immediately. You're also getting damage here. So as soon as that Ryan peeks his head, Stormbow, immediately.
Greetings. Yuga wagateki wo.
I don't like that dragon either.
The Hanzo might be going behind.
So right. So you launch the dragon from here. And the dragon goes in this direction, right? So does this split the team? No, this doesn't split the team. Because the Reinhardt is either going to go onto here or here. They're like if they're attacking through this location, you're assuming that they're going to be attacking from here. And we'll just have the Mercy imply the back line. Right? So if they're pushing up like this, then you're wanting to split the team in this area. But this still gives them cover in this area. It gives the Reinhardt this corner for cover. Their backline can rotate to this cover, and if they had any backline, they can use this cover. So splitting, you want to be doing to have people not... You want to be able to split the team and not give them anywhere where they can kind of retreat and wait out the dragon itself. So if instead of being in this location... you had used the dragon from a location a la this, and you launched the dragon in this fashion, kind of like that, then if the Reinhardt was in front of it, then even if this backline does have places to hide or whatnot, they can't actually help the front line, and the front line doesn't really have anywhere else to hide but here. So you don't want to launch your dragon in such a way that, A, it doesn't split the team, and B, even if it does split the team, you can't capitalize on that split. And you're playing with an Orisa. And an Orisa isn't going to be able to move in quickly to these areas. So you definitely want to be using it to split, and then just try and have the split happen in which the people in front of the split have as little to no cover as actual possible. Pretty simple. So you see them there. Dragon. The Reinhardt's just going to step back.
The Hanzo might be going behind.
The Mercy, of course, is going to try and Guardian
Mercy
Angel
low.
through it.
This one's the thing.
Push red.
Hanzo
Hanzo's behind, Hanzo's behind. Wait. Genji on me. Hanzo one.
See through the dragon.
Yeah, just up.
This is good compared to the Silver Brigida that you actually are
There's a
controlling that
Hanzo, be
flank.
careful.
Is that you have sightlines on the opponent. And the other thing is if we go back here, that spot's a really good spot to actually contest. Right? So if we are going into this area, let's get a red team Hanzo. So if we have a red team Hanzo, right? So you were sitting here, and red team Hanzo came up over here. And then this allows the Hanzo to have sightlines over this area, which you don't want to have. So you duel him, you land the shot, which allows you to win this duel, even though the odds were basically even. And this forces him to drop back. So this is what happens. Now the Hanzo at +5 drops back to here, and you move up here. Now, what happens is that this isn't just guarding this flank, like the Brigitte was doing, but it also gives you sight lines of this area. And then as well, if the Hanzo, for example, says, I don't really want to take this duel to try and get that space back, if that Hanzo decides to kind of like move up here, where he's now going to assist with his tanks in a frontal assault instead of trying to apply flanking pressure from behind, the benefit of that is that you, as the blue team Hanzo, can drop down, and then you can apply the pressure in this area, where if he applies the pressure back to you, realizing that you're a threat to his backline, you can then just retreat back up. So as long as the opponent is giving you this flank, you can wrap it all the way around to come in behind them, whereas you not contesting this flank allows them to do it to you. So it looks like this. So you win the duel, he backs off, then he doesn't want to take this duel any further, so you welcome in that unclaimed space to get this line of sight behind him.
The dragon awakens.
They got maybe 1 or 2 pushes, 2 if they're lucky. Shit, you have to be careful. Hanzo's still low. Actually, not Hanzo, right?
Stop, Jimmy.
That Hanzo's back in that same place, right? That Hanzo is back on that same flank, and you're the one who's allowing him to do it.
Genji low.
Is there not a Hanzo behind you still? Nice headshot.
Genji 1.
Hanzo.
Their Hanzo is absolute trash. You didn't pay attention to him like 15 solid seconds. He went through 2 storm arrow cooldowns and didn't land a single arrow on you. You should have been dead 9 times over.
Hanzo low. Oh, there's Jayne. Holy shit. There's a good res. Nice res. Nice pick, nice pick, nice pick. Restore to soul. Big hack.
MP after this, MP after this. Never mind.
I'm dead.
Try to contest, right? Contest.
Overtime.
You're dead.
Unlucky.
Bad idea.
We got him to overtime.
We should have a jump on it.
What day is it today? It's Tuesday, right?
Is it?
There's no Overwatch League today. It's tomorrow.
To 3. Switching sides.
Yes.
Prepare to attack. Select your hero.
What? Nice edit.
With every death comes honor.
Translocating.
You have my thanks.
Just like in training.
The front door.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing.
Yeah, he did.
That's free charge.
Escort the payload.
Bit fast.
I've attacked.
Nice, big consumer.
I got you.
Then half.
Right,
He's gonna get healed up.
never mind.
Now you've got a few different options here, and it's a playstyle preference. You can play with your Reinhardt, in which case you're going to be trying to play anti-tank. You can play far right side, applying pressure onto their backline, or you can play left side, trying to take that area of map control away from the opponent.
Hooked.
So you have a lot of options here. Hanzo's mobility, his one-shot, and his burst allows him to play in a whole bunch of different styles here.
Genji behind, Genji behind. Genji's behind.
Good job.
There's one.
Genji's behind you. Genji's behind.
Can someone turn around, please?
Start over at the beginning.
That Genji was free. Like we
It's
get
free
another
on
time.
me.
That's what I'm using. I'm using LNJ.
See that which is unseen.
So you are going to
Red
play
low,
main,
that's
and you're
low.
just going to work on their tanks. Perfectly valid playstyle. Also allows you to actually get pocketed and kind of like make flankers bugger off if they do decide to attack your supports or anything like that. Your Storm Arrow's back off cooldown.
I'm still.
So you're doing this thing again where you're going for like these low percentage chance shots where there are more practical things for you to be doing. If you are going to be going after, or if you want to go get that, the Widowmaker or something, you could flank right side and surprise her or something like that, and then you would also be where that Widowmaker used to be in order to fire back, and they wouldn't be able to res that target back up. But you're really close, your Storm Arrows are back off cooldown, and you're not getting value out of them. Hanzo is one of the characters right now, especially where you get Storm Arrow off cooldown, you use it basically as soon as possible to get either damage onto tanks or win a matchup.
Widow. Right. What with that? Mercy one. Mercy dead.
Holy shit, how are we winning? Hanzo
Waste.
back, okay. Wait for my
I want them. Okay. First. Kill the Zarya. Nice team.
Fuck that pinata.
We do stop.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
She's low on top.
I'll get the Widow.
Good luck. She has doors. Oh, be careful.
She can't see you.
Red Widowmaker, right? Blue team Hanzo. She has the high ground. She controls this part of the map. She controls this part of the map. She's also got kind of the high ground as well. She doesn't control this area, but you also can't force an engagement on her unless she's standing forward, standing still, and you land this perfect arrow shot. One of the things you can do to put pressure on this Widowmaker is instead of trying to hit these really low percentage shots, take the time, wall climb, walk around, and just boom, auto from the side. Don't take a fight where she has the advantage, because Widowmaker does have the advantage in these longer range engagements. Use your mobility, and you're pretty freaking quiet too when you're just walking around. Come up where she's going to be, standing in this area 90 degrees to you. If she is going to be AD strafing, right? If she's AD strafing because, for example, you have a Zenyatta behind a Reinhardt shield shooting at her, she's going to be strafing in a way that you can just perfectly land a headshot. And if not, just fucking launch your Stormbow right into her side and delete her. But this engagement is hard. This engagement is easy. This one might take 5 to 10 seconds to pull off, but the percent chance of you pulling this off is probably like 60 to 80% chance of success, whereas this is probably only like a 20% chance of success. So this also comes into the fact where some Widowmakers have much worse quantitative aim, but they have much better success in accuracy because they make the shots themselves easier to hit based on their movements and their positioning. Same sort of thing here. Why go for the tough shot when you can make it an easy shot?
You can see her. Actually, you can.
But walls, though? But really, walls, though. Okay, so she knows you're there, right? That doesn't remove the threat. All that makes it makes the threat known. But the threat still exists. And then that will also force her attention to be drawn to you, or for her to give up that space in order to have the attention of you and the team shared. So even if she has walls, you can still exert that threat on the opponent.
You can now.
My power grows stronger.
Reinhardt. Mercy behind you, Mercy behind you.
Big.
Huge.
Genji behind you. 1 HP.
I'm on as well.
Yeah, Genji is on the left side.
Here.
Shit, he's one. We should have not let him run away. They got a Duomo, I have to be careful. He can counter me.
Genji, viens. Stop.
Chill. Aim each shot.
Viens.
Unless it's a tank or a shield, don't just hold left click. Aim each shot. You can think about... First of all, you're in no rush. Storm Arrow has a pretty size... Even now that it's nerfed to 5 seconds, you still have a pretty sizable period of time in which to actually launch your arrows. I think the maximum rate of fire on Storm Arrow is like 2.2 seconds for the full clip, and you have 5 to launch all of them. So aim each and every single shot just like you would normal arrows. The other thing is that with Storm Arrow, you just don't get a movement penalty. So it's just, you can think of it as that way. It's just removing the movement penalty, but you still have to aim the shots.
Behind 1.
Viens. Turn around.
Don't have.
Behind low. Genji low.
Genji behind low.
Dome hacked.
I must know. Expect nothing.
So yeah, you also have this really bad habit of playing with your tanks, but then trying to shoot the squishies behind your tanks.
Be careful.
But Hanzo's damage output is obscene. You can really melt tanks
Alright,
regardless
so
of who they are.
lucky we can
Wait.
then.
Get the payload moving. See through the dragon's eyes.
There's Doomfist on the right side, I think.
You're correct.
Yeah, he's
Silly
He's one,
Doomfist,
one.
don't you know that
Nice one.
lunge can be just activated whenever you want?
Don't. Oh god. Zarya one, I got my ult. He could have killed me, but he didn't. Doom one.
Stun from your Brigitte.
Genji, stop.
Gonna grab after this.
Yeah, I grabbed it already. Big. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Right behind. Yeah, you can die. I might switch. I don't know.
A minor
Yes,
setback.
Well, yeah.
McCree now. Okay.
Watch and learn.
We got MP and Valk.
It's gonna be better against the Genji, worse against the
Go
Doomfist.
in, maybe.
You're also gonna be
MP
wanting
in 3,
to...
2, 1.
Like, you're gonna have to be better. Like, it's just weird in general, because Doomfist is higher damage at longer range. You do have a CC, but Hanzo, because of his raw damage and ability to avoid Doomfist combo, is actually better at killing Doomfist than McCree is. But you do become better at the Genji, so I do think it's a downgrade swapping to the McCree, but we'll have to see how exactly you play him.
Go big. Doomfist behind. He's not EMP. He's gonna go for me probably because I don't have ability. Yeah, he went for me.
Come on. Kill him.
He's one. Oh god.
Go back to Hanzo.
I don't know what happened.
What the fuck?
He's one.
He's not.
Watch and learn.
Are we going behind?
Yeah, he got Zen orbed and Zarya bubbled.
Well. I'd rest click him. Yeah, I know.
Can we rest some, bro?
Genji was waiting for me. Yes, he was. Fucking HP.
It blows my mind
I don't know.
how you're playing
back to one push,
anti-tank
though,
on
yeah.
McCree, but you weren't playing
Go back to the
anti-tank
group and wait.
when you were on Hanzo.
Go back.
We're
Blows
gonna
my
have like
mind.
every ultimate.
Yeah, I hope. Just stay here in the group. Try not to die. Stay behind the
Just
wall.
rally before we go in.
Yes. Real before push. And get ready to go in. There's no behind again, I think. It's just going.
Don't use your roll like that.
Behind again, I think. It's just going.
I'm like, why use your roll there? Your roll is one of the, like, flashbang is going to be difficult to be 100% consistent against a Doomfist. If you see the Doomfist coming in at you, rolling away from it is the best possible option. Because if he is using his seismic slam towards you, he's already selected a landing area and he can't change that. Now, you can't roll when you're in the air, but you can shoot when he's coming in and then roll right before he hits so that you can keep shooting him. And you can also easier land the flashbang. But rolling like this makes you very vulnerable to the Doomfist.
10 seconds.
Reinhardt.
Genji. No!
Well, it's fine. You traded High Noon for Transcendence. Lowest value ult in the game, pretty much, for one of the highest value ultimates in the game. It's not, oh, I didn't kill Zen. It's, yeah, fuck yeah, we got Trance out.
MP after this.
He has Hammer. Yeah. You also jump a lot.
Zero one.
Better.
Hit the Genji.
Holy shit, what the fuck. Okay, I guess.
The checkpoint.
Run low.
Sound cues are also not your strong point. I'm not sure if you're playing with Dolby Atmos or with a headset or anything like that, but you didn't recognize your backline being killed. You didn't recognize when a Hanzo was on your flank, and this time you didn't miss a Reinhardt charging you. So there's a lot of sound cues that you're missing as well, and that would be on you to try and figure out why the sound cues are being missed, because a lot of these are very loud. They're cooldown activations, and your cooldowns are quite loud. And depending on which character you play, you want to know how loud your normal walking sound is, how loud your cooldowns are, for example. You want to know the volume of your character and the volume of opposing characters and things like this. Let me actually open up Overwatch here, for example. And you need to be able to abuse sound to catch people unaware. Is that there's some characters like Reaper, like Hanzo, like Doomfist, like Brigitte. They're all very quiet when they're just walking around. And Tracer as well is decently loud, but her blinks are just like blink, 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 just blowing your fucking eardrums out. So if you're trying to be sneaky, you pretty much never blink on Tracer, ever. Yes, you like my sound effects. You like my sound effects. Hey, I got one of those reporting notifications. Nice. Okay, so like the most obvious one in order to actually kind of demonstrate is Pharah. So her rockets are loud. Her jump jet is really loud. Her hover jet's not as loud, but let me turn this up here. So rockets, big booming noises. Your jump jet's really loud. Your hover jets, just listen to them. Pretty quiet. But how much sound does Pharah make when she's actually just falling out of the sky? None. She makes no noise at all. No noise at all when she's just falling out of the sky, which you can use in order to actually land sneaky barrages. So being able to kind of do this is that if you are unscouted, making sure that you're either crouch walking or just not using abilities or anything like that is really powerful. So if you use jump jet or anything like that, Pharah, very loud. If you hover, very loud. So if you are trying to sneak kill this bot, for example, one of the things that you can do is get altitude while you're out of LOS. So one of the things we could do, for example, is, just conch jump like that, but then you're making no noise. You hover while you're at altitude, but then you drop immediately on like that, and they will have had no warning. You can prevent the audio cues from being recognized by an opponent if you abuse your character properly. Same thing with Tracer. For actual walking noise, it's really not that loud. It can be heard if people are paying attention, but especially in like the chaos of a team fight, just walking around is not going to be heard. The blinks, high pitch, high volume. People are going to know where you are. So if you're trying to sneak up on somebody, you can just not blink. That is absolutely the first thing you do. The other thing is that you can just kind of like tap, crouch like this, because it's not just that you make one sound. Like you can kind of try and lessen the noise by just kind of tapping crouch. You don't have to just consistently crouch walk like this, and you also don't have to just walk around like this. Doing this has two benefits. It makes your overall sound level just a little bit quieter, but also if you're sneaking around like this and somebody else is at the side, is kind of watching you, for example, they're a Hanzo or something like that, it will also change your movement speed. So if somebody does catch you flanking around, you're not going to be at a consistent speed just crouching or at a consistent speed just walking. It's going to be harder for them to accurately track or flick to you, and you're going to have kind of like the best of both worlds with your quieter movement. Also, for anybody who wants to practice flicking. Oh, let me actually sit up straight for this. Huh. Oh, I missed. No. Ah! Running on a mouse pad. Damn it. Anyway. It's a fun little practice drill. Trying to do 180 to 360. Anyway. That's a fun little practice drill to do. What are some other characters with like really loud noises and whatnot? Doomfist as well, right? Pretty quiet when he's walking around, but loud, loud, super loud. So Doomfist as well. Really loud abilities, but if you do a long range punch or anything like that, you're basically silent while you're on your entry. Right? So if we want to do... Oh god, ping. We're just going to reset ping here. Oh god, there we go.
Only through conflict.
So if you are doing the rollouts for Doomfist, then the punch, if you do it outside of sound range or something, you can just be flying in from fucking who knows where. So we're going to go from here and we're going to kill that bot. Huh. You're dead. So, there's no way they're going to hear you. That's the same sort of thing as the Farah Barrage. But yeah, Doomfist can really get targets from for fucking ever away. Whee! Anyway, sidetracked. I'm just having fun in the practice range.
Need someone prepared? Guys?
He's low. I don't want to lose this, honestly.
Okay, we should group up and draw Leica.
Go on. Dead. Kill this Zare. She's overextending.
This is not your time. 30 seconds.
Are you dead?
Nice pick, let's go.
We're together. We can do this.
Can you hit the rain, please?
Genji behind.
Watch out, he's gonna go for me again. He's one. Nice.
So one of the general tips about trying to keep yourself alive against a Doomfist you can usually bait a Doomfist into actually going on to you if you just stick around a corner or anything like that. So you had that little kind of wall around you, but any thin walls really fuck up a Doomfist. So any kind of walls like this, if you just stick near the pillars, for example, if the Doomfist launches himself right onto you right here, you can just go here and keep yourself alive. It's just easier to stay. So if you're a low mobility hero and Doomfist uses his meteor strike, find any corner or pillar or something like that, because it's way easier to get outside of his area of effect, because it's line of sight, not area of effect. So his seismic slam, I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but it's line of sight, not area of effect, just like May's Blizzard. So anytime you're near a corner like this, for example, if he lands his meteor strike in this location, he's going to kill in this line of sight and this line of sight, but you can still much more quickly get to here, which will be outside of the LOS, than you can walking outside. Because if you do walk outside, even if you get a little bit farther out of range, you're still going to take fall off damage, and you're going to be able to be vulnerable to a direct meteor strike or punch when you come out of meteor strike. I don't know why I'm building ult charge on McCree when I want to build ult charge on Doomfist.
Only through conflict.
Double kill.
Do. Woo!
Double kill.
Do. Okay, we're almost at ult. But the other thing that the Doomfist can do is that if his actual meteor strike doesn't kill you, where's the best place to actually demonstrate this? I guess it is over here still, isn't it? So one of the things that he can do if the meteor strike doesn't actually kill you is he can follow it up with a punch immediately. I fucked that up. I was really close enough to kill that bot? I guess so. But after you come out of it, if you just hold spacebar and right click out of your punch, you immediately do a little... I want to demonstrate this.
Double kill. Double kill.
I want to demonstrate this.
Double kill.
Okay, so I'll do it this time.
Meteor strike.
But you can come out of your meteor strike and do an immediate punch, just an absolutely immediate one. In the same way that if you just hold your spacebar and tap your right click once, you immediately send yourself flying, and that can be usually enough for the opponent to get close up to you, apparently stand on top of the bot, and then just finish you off. But if you're standing around a corner, he doesn't have the ability, because the knockback will throw you into predictable trajectory, which he can then send himself after you just by doing that, and finish you off with either one of his abilities. So just long story short of this tangent is stick near corners against Doomfists. Much easier to block them, especially when you have low mobility. Do you think triple tank Doomfist dive is going to be a thing? Probably not.
Nice win. Big. First one, no. Dead. Big. Winnable.
Move the payload.
Watch and
It's a
learn.
good game. Unlucky.
Defeat.
So yeah, if on your characters, I'd like you to find more of like a distinct play style.
Play of the game.
You seem to have quite, I won't say the ego, like a large ego or something, but you definitely have pride in your abilities, and you don't shy away from taking 1v1s with DPS, and you really like to go for those kind of skillful kills, long range. You want to take these more like honorable duels, but honorable people tend to end up dead, whereas it's the people who kind of like fight dishonorably and try and get every single advantage they possibly can that usually come out up on top. So if you are going to be playing Hanzo and you are trying to like take out other snipers or whatnot, you can be sneakier about it. You don't have to take them in a place where the actual Widowmaker has an advantage. If you're going to be playing with your tank lineup and against the tank lineup, don't try and think of the opposing tank lineup as a challenge. It is suddenly making it more fair because you have to work around the opposing tanks in order to hit the squishies. Use your cooldowns and decide whether you're going to be kind of assisting with burning the tanks, or if you're going to be doing like these flanks or applying pressures from different sight lines in order to take out their supports, which then takes out their tanks. But if you kind of like pressure their supports for a little bit, don't find anything, then pressure their tanks for a little bit, but then stop pressuring their tanks to go do something else, and you keep swapping around, maybe you'll find value eventually from landing, like getting a pick or winning a duel or something like that. But the time that you spend actually kind of pressuring a tank, if that pressure is not consistent and sustained, then it's going to be worthless. It's kind of like doing 199 damage to a target is not as valuable as doing the final piece of damage to that target. So you can do like 99% of the work, but unless that elimination is actually secured, or unless that shield is actually broken, or unless the opponent is actually forced to give up the space, or unless they're actually eliminated, your efforts don't actually matter. So think about your playstyle, and it will change depending on your composition and what the opponent composition is, and then stick to that playstyle. Don't play anti-tank McCree when you're playing kind of like a flanking Hanzo or something like that. Especially with the fall-off buffs, you can play a lot farther back with McCree, get a much broader view of the actual fight, be in less danger, see the Genji and the Doomfist attacks coming, chip them as they come in, threaten with the flash, keep your supports alive by giving them an area. But if you are playing more aggressive and you're in amongst the tanks and you're constantly using your flashbang to just flash over the Reinhardt shield, land 2 headshots, while the Reinhardt still has the Zarya bubbles, the Reinhardt still being double pocketed, that's low value. And suddenly the reason you were on McCree in the first place, which was to threaten the Doomfist and the Genji, is no longer a threat because you've used a flashbang on a Reinhardt that had no impact. So, yeah. Yes, and also aim your Stormbow.